Another question we've gotten recently is, wasn't the 24-month commitment deadline removed from the home program? Well, not exactly. To understand what's going on, we first need to know there is both a 24-month commitment requirement and a requirement to reserve CHOTO funds within 24 months in the National Affordable Housing Act. That is, the statute that created the home program. Section 218G of the Act imposes a 24-month commitment deadline on a PJ's annual allocation of home funds. At the same time, Section 231 of the Act also imposes a 24-month deadline on the CHOTO set-aside. Understanding that the statute has these two 24-month deadlines is part of the story. In the 2017 and 2018 Appropriations Acts, the 24-month commitment deadline imposed by Section 218G of the Act was temporarily suspended. So HUD is not enforcing any 24-month commitment deadlines that occurred or otherwise would occur in calendar years 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, and 2020. But the legislative text from 2017 and 2018 left the 24-month deadline applicable to the CHOTO set-aside in place. That is, the deadline imposed by Section 231 of the Act. In 2019, however, the Consolidated Appropriations Act continued the suspension of the commitment deadline from Section 218G through 2021. And for the first time, it suspended the deadline for the CHOTO set-aside found in Section 231. So beginning in 2018, HUD may no longer deobligate CHOTO funds for a missed CHOTO commitment deadline. This suspension also ends at the end of 2021. However, it is important to note that the suspension of the CHOTO commitment deadline does not eliminate the requirement for a PJ to set aside at least 15% of its home allocation for CHOTO projects. While HUD is hopeful that Congress will continue its recent practice of suspending both 24-month deadlines, the deadlines could come back into play if Congress decides not to make permanent statutory changes and does not continue the suspensions through annual appropriations bills. Consequently, unless and until there are permanent changes in the home statute, the commitment and the CHOTO deadline's applicability will be a year-by-year issue. For that reason, PJs and CHOTOs alike should continue to monitor this issue and watch for additional guidance from HUD.